Good, great. Well, today is Canopy Conversations, bringing trees to your neighborhood. This is the first in the series. Would love to have y'all come back for the other three if you're able to join us so that we can talk more about how to make sure our neighborhoods look more like this image on the right than this one on the left. Friendly reminder, I bet y'all are pretty good at this by now, but if you could please keep yourself muted unless we're jumping in for the conversation, then the problem is remembering to unmute yourself, but we're gonna be kind to each other about that here today. I do also have master mute powers, so I will mute you if need be, but I think we'll manage just fine. So welcome. Today's the first session, bringing trees to your neighborhood. And just to give you a snapshot of what is to come, next month, we are talking about the benefits of trees and how to share those benefits with your neighbors, which talking points maybe might work with some neighbors more than others. Then we're going to talk about what makes a good planting site. This is where we'll talk about what is, the right of way, what are street trees, where can you advise your neighbors to get trees on their property. And then living with trees in September. This is going to be about maintenance and tips that you can share with your neighbors. I see a few more in the waiting room here, so I'm going to go ahead and make sure they are joining us as well. All right, so here is what we will get into today. We're going to do some very quick, they will be lightning round introductions of everyone who is joining us on the call this morning. We'll do a super short presentation that's about the local methods for how to bring trees into your neighborhood and allow you to ask any questions you might have about that. There's a couple short polls, and then we'll have some full group discussion about that. And then we'll break into some small groups and talk about what are some of the best ways that you've noticed or ideas that you might have about how to engage with residents in your neighborhood. So real quick, did want to show that this is kind of a sampling of who has joined the call here today. Thank you for those who did join who did complete the survey. And I'm going to let a few more people in from the waiting room here. I cannot, as you can see, I cannot do two things at once. So I have to announce it every time I'm letting people in. So we do have a good sprinkling of attendees. I didn't put myself on here and I should have, but I'm up here north in Madison, but nice to see that there are so many people from different neighborhoods joining us here today for this convo. So let's go around real quick and do some lightning round introductions. I will stop sharing my screen here for a moment if you all want to, if you're able to come off video, if you want to say hello, but no pressure. And just looking for your name, your neighborhood, kind of what part of Nashville you're coming from. And then if you could very quickly kind of describe what the tree canopy looks like in your neighborhood. So name, neighborhood, what your tree canopy looks like. And I will start. Good morning. My name is Meg Morgan. I am with the Root Nashville campaign at the Cumberland River Compact. I live in the Oakland Acres neighborhood of Madison, but for those who were on the beginning of the call today, I'm actually working remotely from Oklahoma this week. So these are not all my awards on the back of this wall, but my tree canopy in my neighborhood, I would say, is fairly strong, but there's just so much potential because our yards are huge in Oakland Acres and there's a lot more room for more trees to be planted. So name, neighborhood, describe your canopy real quickly, and I'll call on people. So Sue Goodman, would you like to go first, please?
Hi, I live down in Cane Ridge. We have the river Mill Creek running right next to our subdivision. So there's a good riparian area there, but unfortunately this was a cow pasture. And when they put in the houses, they put in everybody got a Bradford pear. Ooh. Yeah, so I have planted 2 trees. I planted a rising sun redbud and an American plum, and we have a couple of riparian areas. I want to figure out how to plant some trees in there. I have been in contact with the people planting trees over in Mill Creek, so happy to be here. Thanks.
Great, thanks, Sue. And let's talk too about making sure that your redbud and your plum have been added to the Root Nashville count. I'll mention that super briefly because they all do count towards the citywide movement. And shout out to you for using the word riparian. That is a hot buzzword in the field of urban forestry. This is the buffer zone on waterways and tributaries. So nice work on that. Bonus points for you, Sue. Ryan?
Hey, I'm Ryan Bell. I live in the Radnor Woodbine neighborhood, which is in South Nashville, so south of Thompson Lane, north of Harding Place, and would describe the canopy there as there are a lot of large trees, but could use some more. So I'll keep that. I'll say that. So.
Awesome. Thanks, Ryan. And Ruby, hello.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Sure can.
Okay. My name is Ruby Kendrick, and I live in Inglewood. I think North Inglewood. I would say the canopy is pretty lush and pretty green, and I'm impressed with it. And I really hope that we can keep it this way. And I'd actually would like it to be even more dense. So I think, I would love to hear about ways to convince people who think they have enough trees how to get them some more. So yeah, thank you.
Love that. Yeah, thanks, Ruby. And I will say we're going to talk about this a little bit more, but Ruby is a current neighborhood planting captain, and Ryan is an alum, illustrious alum from past planting season, and we'll talk about what that means a little bit. Grace, hello.
Hello, my name is Grace Robertson. I live in Bellevue, in kind of a more rural section of Bellevue, so I'm not too concerned about my specific neighborhood. I'm more on the call to learn about how to help our customers at Lightwave Solar replenish trees when they choose to cut them down or trim them to get solar. So we want to make up for that loss if that's the case, and do it in the right neighborhoods with the right trees. Yeah.
Great. Well, yeah, thanks for thinking ahead on that. And we would definitely love to keep talking to you about that. We'd love to help replenish those trees. So thanks, Grace. Thanks for being here. Adrian, excuse me, whichever way you can correct me.
It's Adrian. Hi.
Okay.
And I live in Sylvan Park, which is kind of westish, I guess, Nashville. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if you're familiar, but like much of Nashville, it's growing so quickly and new homes are being built. And so, and old homes are being taken down, but with that, it seems like the trees are being taken down as well. So we just put in 2 trees as well, but I'm hoping, I don't know if you're familiar with our neighborhood, we have cherry blossoms like around 46, but they like stop halfway and then they stop halfway kind of near Murphy. And so it's like, why can't we just continue this all the way, So I just wanted to see what the steps would be to kind of get the whole community on that and move forward.
Absolutely. And I do think there will be one kind of specific method for bringing trees into your neighborhood that we'll talk about today that will be specific for
getting
those cherry trees filled out all the way. So yeah, let me know if you have any questions when it gets to that. So yeah, thanks for being here, Adrian. Tony, hello. I have mute powers. I'm going to ask him to unmute. Oh, there you go.
Hi, I'm Anthony Biglietti. I live in Inglewood, and our canopy is pretty dense. We're fortunate to have had 2 relief programs here in Inglewood, and we also have a section in Inglewood that has 55 acres, and it's still forested and full of wildlife and all sorts of creatures. So I think Inglewood is in great shape.
In many reasons because of you and your efforts, Anthony, who's a award-winning and current beautification commissioner in the area. If y'all know the cherry trees on Riverside, that is thanks to Mr. Biglietti here. So let's also make sure that we connect you with Ruby at some point, Anthony, who's a current captain in your neighborhood. But yeah, thank you. Thank you for what you do and for your efforts.
Thank you.
And Brandon, hello.
Hey, sorry, I'm at work. I was on a call, so I'm not exactly sure what the question was, but I live in South Inglewood. The canopy I feel is pretty lush. I mean, there's a lot of development going on in South Inglewood, and those old growth trees are being cut down and replaced with like tiny 1-inch caliper trees, which is I hate, but I mean, at least there is some planting, but I mean, there definitely needs to be more too, I feel.
Great. Yeah. Thanks, Brandon. And you nailed it if the prompt. So no worries. Thanks for jumping in and being here. Hi, Brooke.
Hi, my name is Brooke Maroldi. I live in East Nashville, specifically Lockland Springs, and even more specifically, just off of 19th and Holly. And I'm sure a lot of you remember the March 3rd tornado. It roared down through 5 Points and all the way up Holly. Many of the houses around me are gone. I'm pretty lucky to be alive and have a house. And with those houses came so many trees. And you can follow the path of the tornado by seeing how bare our tree canopy is. It went out to the golf course, but it also spun around in the Lockland Springs Park, which we call the Fairy Forest, and destroyed many, many trees there. What's happening now is a bit horrifying in that the old houses that were taken down that couldn't be rebuilt are being replaced by these gigantic mansions. And they are building almost to every square foot of the property lines. And I can't even see where they would have room for trees.
Mm-hmm.
And that's surrounding me. My yard is surrounded by houses like this. So I'm very concerned. And through Root Nashville and Tree Conservation Program, I'm happy to say that I've planted 21 trees, but it's like just a dent. And I would love to get involved in ways that I can to make these new builders aware that trees are, like, hit them in the pocketbook. Let them know that it adds to the value of their property. Maybe that's the way to connect with them. So
great. Thanks, Brooke. And yeah, that's a really important area to be planting. And thanks for your efforts to get those 21 trees in the ground. So yeah, we'll definitely be talking about some of those reasons why people might plant trees, and property value definitely being one of them in the next session. So yeah, thanks for queuing that up a little bit. Thanks for being here, Brooke. Hans Willie, I'm definitely probably not pronouncing that correctly.
Yeah, hi. I'm living in Westmead. And as you know, we have a big tree canopy here. On our street, we have, just on our street, I'm living on Rolling Fork. We have 7 big old tree contest winners. But storms take trees down and take down power lines. So people actually are very concerned about that. And as other people said, our smaller houses are replaced by big mansions, and then always big trees are taken down. And we had just a case here where a new big building was supposed to be built, and there was some 100 years old northern red oak. And neighbors came together, and our city council, Tom Druffel, talked with the developer, and they didn't take that tree down. So it's still possible to defend big trees. And the other thing is, even we have a lot of big trees, there are properties, big lawns, 1 tree, and we could actually have more trees. And you don't know that we talk constantly with neighbors, and we collect barrow trees and offer it to neighbors. So we do here a lot in order to replace trees which have been taken down by storms, which have to be taken down because they endanger houses. But more can be done. And therefore, I want to know what you guys are saying about it.
Thank you, Hans. Yeah, thank you so much for your efforts to organize in your own neighborhood. That's exciting that you have those success stories. So thank you for your work on that as well. Joanna?
Hey, do you mean Joanna?
I sure do. I apologize, Joanna.
I'm Joanna Bricketto. I live in Weston Hillsboro neighborhood, and I'm like right between Vandy and Green Hills. And I've been here a long time, and we used to have a lot more trees, but there's so much infill lately. And Brooke, it's different from yours, but I hear echoes. When people, like some homes are bought on spec and they're just raised, and they'll leave one tree in the front, but they've built the new house all the way back to the property line. There's no grass. There's not even room for a shrub. And that one tree that they left in the front yard is dead by a year or two later because there weren't any protections in place when they had the bulldozers. Or nice people renovate their own homes, bump it out, and think they're doing a great job by putting a ginkgo in the front yard, or a crepe myrtle, or some little rinky-dink exotic that's not going to have the ecosystem function of a native tree. And then we've got a storm sewer that I know is a metro stream, and I'm going to figure it out. But so I get to use the word riparian again, where it feeds into a tributary to Richmond Creek. It's just trash, and I would love to do some kind of cleanup and, you know, put some black willows and button bushes. So I've got all these plans, and I don't know what to do with any of them. That's all.
Well, love planning. Hey, that's where it starts. And hopefully today helps a little bit. Thank you, Joanna. Thanks for being here. Joni, hello.
Hi, I'm happy to be here today. Sorry I was a bit late. I am in Inglewood, specifically in the Maplewood neighborhood, which is a little kind of long peninsula between, we're west of Gallatin, east of the railroad tracks, and south of Briley and north of Hart Lane. So we're kind of a little narrow strip there. We have a pretty good tree canopy, and there are some lots in this area that are quite large, and we just recently they were about to change the zoning, which would have allowed more houses squished in, and we were able to not have that pass. So that was kind of a victory indirectly for the trees, but like everywhere else, it's a little bit of madness of tearing the little houses down and everything around it and putting up the big giant houses. So
I'm hearing some echoes here. So this is already really good to hear from you all. So thanks for sharing your stories. Thanks for being here, Joni. Nice to see you. Marnie, and then Nicole and Sara, and I think that is everyone. So hi, Marnie. I'm going to ask to unmute. I'm using my powers. Let's see if that works. Let's go on to Nicole. Maybe Marnie can catch up with us in a second. Hi, Nicole.
Hi, Meg. Sorry I was a little late. In all honesty, I'm super new to this neighborhood. I live in the Inglewood area. Joni, kind of near you. I live off of Chesney. And I'm an artist, and I've just been so deeply inspired by all of the trees I've seen in Nashville and Tennessee in general. All of my work has now become about painting those trees. So I really want to understand more about the native trees to Tennessee and how I can help preserve this beautiful, inspiring area. So I'm really here just to learn and listen.
Awesome. Welcome to Nashville. And yeah, I think you're with a group of people who also finds trees inspiring. So yeah, nice to hear. Thanks for being here.
Good company. Yeah.
Sara, hello.
All right. Sorry, I'm Sara, and I am the beautification commissioner over here in District 20. I am in Charlotte Park. I have lived in my house for 27 years. So I used to, until about 2 years ago, have woods, big woods across the street from me, and then the Cumberland River. But then, of course, now I have 6 tall skinnies across the street, and all of those beautiful trees were taken down for that, and all the birds that I fed and the habitat has gone, and the other 9 acres there is being developed as we speak. The whole neighborhood in Charlotte Park is turning into tall skinnies. So all these big, old, beautiful homes in the Ford glass plant, they're all being chopped down. So it's really heartbreaking to see, and it's sad to a lot of the people that have lived here much longer than me. So I know I personally planted about 20 trees last year too in my big yard. So I part for two reasons. I love the trees and to make up for the trees coming down, but also maybe I can create a little bit of privacy that I used to have from those tall skinnies looking down inside my 6-foot fence now. But so multiple reasons. But I know that there are some of us here that still want to create that beauty. I do have one positive tree canopy type of story, because they're the nations actually, which is part of the district that I cover, would like to work on some sort of tree canopy in their area. Also, Robertson Avenue wants to work on a tree canopy because their area is getting very changed right now, and the tree canopy that's already there is disappearing. So there are a couple of areas that we can definitely work on over here, and we can work on Charlotte Park as we can with all these developers moving in and taking all these beautiful houses away. So that's it, I think, right?
Thanks, Sarah. Yeah, thank you. And we'll make sure we can catch up about this, but we do currently have a neighborhood planting captain in Charlotte Park and in the Nations. So we'll get into that here in a minute. But yeah, thanks for being here. And Marnie, if you're around.
Yeah, hi. I'm Marnie Huff, and I live off Bowling in kind of a cluster home area. And sadly, we had to cut down our pin oak tree that was huge because it was just dead. And our neighbor had to do the same thing. So now I'm thinking, well, we could do solar power on the roof now, but it'd be nice to have have a tree. And I'm going to spread the word with our homeowner association.
Nice. Thanks, Marnie. Yeah, it's such a loss when you have to cut one down. Even when you have to, you can't keep all trees. So yeah, we can definitely talk about some methods for replacing that. Thanks for being here. Did I miss anyone? Great. Well, thank you all so much for taking the time to do that. That is, what these conversations are all about, are kind of, hearing other stories from other neighborhoods and making those connections. So thank you for taking the time on that. I'm going to go back to sharing my screen. All right, so let's jump into, I promise, very short presentation, and then we'll get back into continuing to talk. But it looked like from our pre-survey that most of you who filled those out are at least a little bit familiar with Root Nashville already, so I'll do this very quickly. But in the short version, what is Root Nashville? We're a citywide campaign to plant 500,000 trees by 2050. Fortunately, this is something that we're not in alone. It's very much a partnership-driven effort. The campaign itself is led by the Cumberland River Compact, which is a nonprofit, so that's where I work, and Metro Nashville. So this is an initiative of the city as well. We work with Metro Water Services in particular as a lead partner, as well as the mayor's office. All trees planted count towards this goal. So you better believe that those who noted that you planted trees recently, I'll be following up with you about how to add those trees to the count, because it really is a citywide movement. You can add your trees to the map and become part of this campaign, whether you're planting them on your own or whether you're planting them through an organization like ours or other environmental nonprofits as well, or departments. So why are we working to plant so many trees? I don't even think I'm going to get into this, because I think everyone here kind of noted some of those reasons why it's important to plant trees and why you're here today. Nashville is losing trees. We have a lot of growth and development that's helped our city become what it is today. But it also means that we lose thousands of trees in the process. We're going to lose a little over 1.5 million to the emerald ash borer, which is here, a little pesky invasive beetle. And our canopy is aging. It's just older. Trees don't live forever. They live a long time, but not forever. So next time we'll talk a little bit more about some of the benefits of urban trees in particular, and ways that you can talk to your neighbors about these things. But that's why we care about the fact that we're losing all these trees, right? It's because they bring us so many different benefits. If you want to have a healthy community, you need a healthy tree canopy as well. We plant all over Davidson County, but focus on these impact areas of Madison, North Nashville, and South Nashville to create a more equitable canopy distribution across the city. But we do work across all different neighborhoods in the city. So let's talk about how to make sure that our neighborhoods more look like this one on the right, like what we want to see. So a couple kind of background or planning pieces to think about if you're thinking about, okay, how can I bring more trees into my neighborhood? You want to make sure you're thinking about the timeline. The planting season in this area is from about mid-October through about the end of March. And I will also send you all these slides afterwards as well. But you want to plant trees when they are dormant, when they're sleeping in the winter, so that they can get a little settled before the growing season. You also want to think about having enough time to call 811 to know where your underground utility lines are located. And if you are doing a large organizing effort, you also want to make sure that you have tons of time in order to get trees from the nursery or whoever you are working with, if you're working with an organization. Most of that organizing actually takes place over the summer, way before planting season even starts. So these are just some timeline things to think about as you're thinking about, okay, do I want to get organized in my neighborhood? You also kind of want to do some thinking about what your goals might be. What kind of impact are you looking to make in your neighborhood? What kind of goals might you have about engagement in your neighborhood, talking to your neighbors? Are you looking to get out there, do something really big, make a large impact? If you are, new and just moved here and looking to get more involved, you want to start something a little bit more small. It's kind of a pilot. Are you interested in doing organizing, in helping us with these grassroots efforts of talking more to your neighbors about trees? Are there others around who can help you? It's really great that we have a couple of beautification commissioners on the call today. Every city district in Nashville, and yes, there's 35 of them, every single one also has a beautification commissioner. So they can really help you in these efforts as well. But is there a neighborhood association? Do you have any kind of organizing in place that you can kind of use as a gateway to help organize some tree planting efforts? These are just some things to think about and kind of encourage you as we talk through some of the different methods for bringing trees into your neighborhood. Think about what kind of impact you're looking to make and how you're looking to engage with your neighbors. This will come up again in a few minutes. So I'm just prepping you ahead of time. So another thing to keep in mind is the different types of stock or the different ways that you can get trees into your neighborhood. So we've got a photo of container trees over here on the far left. I believe this is a photo with our friends at the Nashville Tree Foundation at a giveaway. So this is a container tree. There's also bare root or seedlings, which often come in little bags like this and are typically smaller. You can also get larger bare root trees that look more like this. And bare root, you can guess where that name comes from. And then there are ball and burlap trees, and that's this picture over here on the right. And these are typically going to be larger stock trees. So we've got container, we've got seedlings, bare root, we've got ball and burlap. Those are just some of the examples of different types of trees or ways that you can bring them in. So to get into some of those different local methods of how to increase canopy in your neighborhood, how to bring trees into your neighborhood, I do want to start with the program that we have through the Cumberland River Compact arm of the Root Nashville campaign, and that is the Neighborhood Planting Captain program. So we have an application on the Root Nashville website, and I'll send you all the link in particular if you want to take a look at that specifically. But what you do if you're interested in doing some organizing in your neighborhood is you can apply to be a captain on the website. And if you're accepted into the program, you're awarded a certain number of these large ball and burlap trees. So this picture on the bottom right over here, totally for free. And then it's your job as a captain to then recruit your neighbors for trees, get the word out, tell them, hey, we have these trees available. Our neighborhood has been picked. I'm your captain. Here's how you can sign up to get a tree in your neighborhood. So we really look to our captains to be our kind of boots on the ground, grassroots leaders. We found it to be so much more successful when neighbors are talking to neighbors to really spread the word in that way. So that is the bulk of a captain's job. And then we order and deliver the trees right to your yard. And they are those large kind of ball and burlap trees. So they do kind of make a big difference right away. And this is really what you might want to think about if you are interested in really bringing a high number of trees into a condensed area, into an area right around where you live, a couple streets, and if you're interested in doing more engagement in your neighborhood, if you're interested in that organizing. The application, I'll send you all the link directly, but it's just available on the website, just a simple Google form. And we also try to make it easy for you to spread the word and tell your neighbors about the opportunity. We have this kind of template flyer, and then we'll add in kind of your specific information about your neighborhood. And then you have this to use either if you want to canvas and go door to door, or if you have a neighborhood association, an email list, Facebook group or Nextdoor app, that kind of thing. Those are all some kind of ideas for getting the word out, but we try to help you out by making this one pager with this information for you to use. And then they get delivered and it's a ton of fun. So these are just some pictures of kind of how big the trees are, so you can get a little bit of an idea on that. And we've been told that really the delivering right to your yard is kind of a strong selling point on this, in addition to the fact that they're free, and these trees are worth about $150 or $200 each. So this is something that can make it easier to get trees right to people. But there are other options as well. And these are all ways that we can increase canopy in our neighborhoods. And again, because Root Nashville is a citywide campaign, these are all part of the larger effort to plant those 500,000 trees. They all count towards that goal. So would definitely encourage you to keep an eye out for giveaways that happen across the city. Especially want to highlight our friends at the Nashville Tree Foundation. This is, do not write these dates down. These were from last year. I just took a snippet of their giveaway from last year, but they are often set up in early fall at farmers markets. First come, first serve, so you can get trees there yourself, or you can encourage your neighbors to do so as well. Kind of an easy way to get in there. They're 3-gallon container trees, so the base is about this big, kind of like that photo I showed you earlier of the container trees. So this is just another way, another opportunity to keep an eye out for. And I'll send you this as well, so you can check out the Nashville Tree Foundation as well, because they are our friends in the campaign. Also keep an eye out for some of these other opportunities. The Tennessee Environmental Council is a statewide organization, but they do have a headquarters kind of here in Nashville, and they have something called the Tennessee Tree Day, where they give away thousands of those small seedlings, and you can reserve them ahead of time and pick them up at a location near you. There are also bare root seedlings that are given away through the Metro Tree Advisory Committee at the Nashville Lawn and Garden Show every season. I'm sure some of you have been to this event before, but not recently, because it's had to be canceled twice in a row, which is very sad, but I know they're going to be back up and running next year for sure. But this is just another way that you can pick up some free trees for your neighborhood. These are the kind of smaller bare root seedlings. And there's another new organization that's looking to plant trees on highway interstates, and that's Green Interchange, and they also do occasional giveaways of those small bare root trees as well. So just something else to keep an eye on. If you are interested in a very specific certain type of tree, and you do want something that's larger, you can look into purchasing trees through our friends at the Nashville Tree Conservation Corps. They have a tree sale that delivers trees to you right to your house during planting season. These are available for purchase, and you can also purchase planting help as well. They have a ton of awesome native varieties. And again, these are all trees that help increase the canopy. These all count towards the citywide goal as well. So definitely encourage you to check them out as well. And I will, again, send this to you all if you want to explore a little bit or learn a bit more about the Nashville Tree Conservation Corps. Both the Tree Corps and the Tree Foundation are on the Root Nashville Advisory Board, so they are friends. So all of these methods so far are ways of bringing trees to your neighborhood on private property, right? So trees that you can plant in your own front yard, your own backyard. But there are also methods of bringing trees and planting them on public property. So these would be like for the potential filling out of the cherry trees in Sylvan Park, I believe it was, and getting those planted in the right of way. So through what's called the Metro Tree Bank, these are funds that are available to neighborhood groups for trees that are then planted on public property. And that does include street trees within Metro's right of way. So that can be used to potentially, fill out if there's a planting strip between the sidewalk and your road, get trees planted there. There are funds available to do that organizing. And how you access that bank is that neighborhood associations can work with a Metro department to apply for those funds for a specific planting project. It depends where you're looking to plant, exactly which department you would go through. So that's why I kind of offered up in here that if anyone's interested in that in particular, the Cumberland River Compact would be happy to kind of talk to a neighborhood group about what that looks like and kind of walk you through the process. But for street trees in particular, that would be through Metro Public Works Department, because those are within the right of way. If it was on a parks, you'd go through Metro Parks, et cetera, et cetera. But we're happy to help you kind of walk through that. If you are interested in going for this application, just encourage you to submit with plenty of time before the planting season actually starts. And just also kind of want to note here that Metro staff is limited and they may not be able to accept or process all of the applications, and that those applications are reviewed by the tree working group of Metro. But this is available, this is out there, and if you're interested in bringing the trees to public property in your neighborhood, this is definitely a route to go for. This is kind of an example of what street trees look like to kind of give you an idea. This is a project we did with the Metro Tree Bank late last planting season in Madison. These are some street tree projects just to kind of give you an idea of what we mean by street trees. So bringing this back up again, as we kind of talked about those different methods. Okay, we have, if you want to do a large scale organizing, you can become a planting captain with the Root Nashville campaign. You can get trees at a giveaway. You can get bare root trees. You can go get trees through the Metro Tree Bank, through public property areas. So kind of jogging your memory on this again about, okay, what kind of impact are you maybe looking to make in your neighborhood? How do you want to engage with your own neighbors? I am going to pause for just a moment here and hopefully get this poll to work. So I am going to show you all kind of a quick poll here about your thoughts so far on this. How might you envision bringing trees to your neighborhood just from this super short conversation we've had so far today? It's okay if you're still sure or thinking about it. I'm going to go ahead and launch that poll right now. Should be popping up on your screen here. So at this point, how might you envision bringing trees to your neighborhood? You looking to organize, maybe something smaller, talk to your neighbors first, still thinking about it, not sure, that's okay too. Okay, waiting for a couple more of you here. Okay, perfect. So you should be able to see this now, what everyone said. Pretty mixed, kind of a little bit everywhere, which is good, kind of all in different places here. Putting feelers out and asking your neighbors is probably a great way to get started, right? See what the interest is first before you get out there. Some of you have maybe already done this. So you're like, yeah, I think I want to get started maybe on a smaller scale, or, you know, I'm ready to go. I'm interested in organizing for something larger. So great. Thank you for sharing that. Get back over here. So I would love to hear from you all. This is another poll, so I hope I'm not making you dizzy sharing my screen off so many times, but curious just from those who we have joining us here today, have you brought trees into your neighborhood before? Did you go through one of these methods or did you do something else? So here we go with another poll. This is just showing me poll one. Okay, here we go. I haven't actually done polls before. This is a new one. All right. So have you brought trees into your neighborhood before? Which method did you use? Are you past or current neighborhood planting captain? Yes, you've worked with another tree planting partner, maybe the National Tree Foundation or others. You've worked on your own to talk to your neighbors about trees. It sounded like several of you were in that category. Or you're new. So a little bit of everything, which is nice. Couple of you are brand new to this, so hope this conversation's been a little helpful so far. You've worked on your own too. That's nice. There's some independent workers out there, so great. Thank you. All right, so I've got one more quick poll here, and then we're going to get into groups.
Actually, pretty nice what they're doing here.
I think I hear someone. Hello. Make sure you're muted if you don't mind.
Oh, I should mute myself.
So one more quick poll, just from what you've heard so far, and it's totally okay if you're still thinking about it or if you're not sure. Which of these methods do you think might work best in your neighborhood, or which might you consider? Going through the neighborhood planting captain program, encouraging your neighbors to participate in a tree sale, encouraging them to get trees at a giveaway. You're thinking about maybe a Metro Tree Bank application, or still thinking about it. One more, I'll give you just a second here. Great. A little bit of everything here too, so that's nice to see. Giveaways, maybe captain, maybe tree sale, maybe this tree bank, or still thinking about it. Great, a little bit of everything. That's nice. So as you are thinking about, which one of those routes you might go, or talking to your neighbors first, I would love to hear from you all, and we're going to split up into small groups here for this section. What do you think would work best in order to get the word out, no matter which method you go for? What do you think would work best in your own neighborhood based on your experience? If you have done this before, would love for you to share maybe your ideas of what worked or what didn't, what you might have done differently, what went well. No matter which route you go, spreading the word is going to take outreach. It's going to take talking to your neighbors. So what do you think would work best? So I have a couple of prompts that I will put in the chat after we split up into groups, if you want to use those as a guide for your conversation here. If you don't mind, if you can appoint one person from your group to kind of be the representative kind of share out, we'll get back together and we'll do a super quick, again, it's going to be lightning round, very quick, of what your group discussed. I'll pop around into the different breakout rooms, but don't mind me, I'll just be listening. And we'll take about 7 minutes for this conversation in our breakout groups. I'll give you time warnings and would love to make sure we have time at the end for quick share outs. So let's go ahead and get in our groups. All right, here we go. I think there's one room that only has one person, so I'm going to reassign you. So if you need help, put it in the chat and I'll do my best to help you out. Here we go. Looks like there's some unassigned, so I'm gonna work on assigning you. Sorry about that, y'all. I'm working on it. Should be something popping up. Okay. Are you unassigned? Hi, Thomas. Let's see if I can get you.
Hi, you just took me out of a group apparently. So
Oh,
now,
I'm sorry about that. Were you in group 4?
yeah, before.
Okay, let me see if I can get you back in there. It says not joined under your name. You don't see a pop-up? So we have just a few minutes. It was really great to pop in and listen to some of those conversations. Very, very quick. Please do be mindful. We just have a couple minutes here, but really would like to hear from every group. Some of the highlights of what you talked about and where you landed. So if I could hear from someone from group 2, that was Adrian, Brooke, Marnie, and Sue. Do you have someone who could share out?
Yeah, I'm the spokesperson, and Brooke noted that they got a lot of free trees post-tornado. Her idea is to approach construction companies and also hook up with people who are already in a volunteer group with a nearby park, which makes sense that there would be alignment there. Adrian is the president of a small community organization, and they do a neighborhood festival. They're near the McCabe Greenway, which could use trees. And she's interested in public land and kind of hooking up with the community organization. Sue talked about how there's just a huge amount of development where she lives, and there are pre-existing permits that allow developers to just kind of go in and destroy everything. And so they're trying to get developers to do certain things. She called it a manifest, where they would have a list of how many trees they should have. They also have a good connection with their council person. That council person, things were so bad in this neighborhood, the council person was able to stop new developers from getting new permits, but there's already a lot of construction permitted going on. So it's a lot to think about. And then as for myself, I'm planning to contact our HOA president and it's about 12 houses in our area. And I also used to live in a condominium development that has 100 units just down the street, and a friend of mine lives there, and I'm going to connect with her. She's a former lobbyist with the state government, lobbying state government.
Great. Yeah. Thanks, Marnie. Thanks, group 2. I love that y'all didn't just discuss ideas. You have like action steps. You're like, here's what we're going to do after this. Overachievers. Well done. Group 3, if I could hear from one of you real quickly. That was Hans, Joni, Nicole, and Sara, I believe.
Maybe I should pitch in. Our main concern was that so many old trees are taken down, and something should be done about it. And the other issue was that we are connected to neighborhood associations, but it's hard to bring the topic of trees to a primary goal about these associations, because they have so many issues going on. And I think we all agreed that the best way is to get people and neighbors involved to talk personally about it, to address them, meet them, and talk about trees and about the possibilities to plant more trees if that is possible in their yards. I hope I represented that correctly.
Thank you, Hans. Thanks, group 3. Group 4, I believe that was Brandon, Grace, Joanna, and Thomas. One person want to share their things? Yeah, go ahead, Grace.
I was thinking Thomas might want to, but one of the things we came up with is ways to engage neighborhood members who need to know or want to know about opportunities to plant trees or preserve trees, and beyond, Facebook groups or listservs next door. One idea was engaging the council member and asking them to put the information in their newsletter blast or Facebook pages, just to get the word out more broadly. And then on a small scale, of course, you can do flyers or posters at high visibility locations.
Great. Thanks so much, Grace. And I love that multiple groups have mentioned council members. That's a really good strategy for getting more connected and bringing these issues up. Don't forget your beautification commissioners as well. So you have a council member and a beautification commissioner for every district. But because the Root Nashville campaign is a metro initiative, both the council members and beautification commissioners should be pretty familiar with the campaign overall in general. So thanks. Thank you for that. And last group 6, Anthony, Ruby, and Ryan, we're a little bit over. So if y'all can hang on for just a moment here for one of those group representatives. If you do need to leave, if it's noon, no worries. We'll send a follow-up email, but would love to hear from you, group 6.
I don't know if we picked a spokesperson. But what I took away, I kind of went after Anthony about my specific neighborhood being as lush and green as it is. And one thing I heard him say that I thought was a good lead was approaching new homeowners, you know, because a lot of older homeowners, they've been here a while, they might not want another tree on the property, but there is a romance period of a new homeowner of like, this is my home, and hitting them with a tree. I think that's a great idea. If there's something else, Ryan, Anthony, that we discussed that you want to throw in there.
Yeah. One thing I would, sorry, Ryan. One thing I would mention, we are trying to improve our tree ordinances in Nashville, and it is required that for every new construction, it is required to have 1 2-inch caliper tree per 30 foot of frontage. So if you see a new construction going up and there is no tree there, then you can report that to the hub or to Metro Codes, and then the inspector will see that that tree gets planted. And we're constantly working on improving our ordinance. And that's where we need the public to come and support us in that.
Thank you for mentioning that, Anthony. Yeah, and I'll make sure to follow up with some information about what you just mentioned, and also a link to Hub as well, Hub Nashville, if y'all aren't familiar with that. Thank you for bringing that up. Great. Well, thank you all so much. I know we're just a couple minutes over here, so thanks for hanging on. I'm just going to show 2 more kind of wrap up slides here. I want to make sure that you have these dates on your calendar. If you don't already, would love to see you for the next session, which is July 8th, same time, same place, wherever you can zoom in. And that's specifically going to be talking about the benefits of trees. What do people respond to? Do they know Nashville's losing trees? Do we need to, scare people a little bit? Is it property value? Is it, shade that people are going to appeal to? So we're going to get more into that next time. Would love to have you all back and join us. I will send everything via email afterwards, including the slide deck and some of the information, the follow-up information and resources we talked about, but also just so you all have it. That is my email there, meg.morgan@cumberlandrivercompact.org. You can also just reach our general inbox, which is just hello@rootnashville.org. So again, thank you all so much for joining this and being a part of this. I hope you have a nice lunch for yourself planned, and would love to see you July 8th, and we will be in touch about more. Have a great rest of your week, y'all.